for giving me some time. Okay, my privilege is to be the last one, and also the one who will improvise, because I was not supposed to do that, to give a talk. I was moderating, or planning to moderate it. And all of a sudden, in 3 days, I sort of thinking of going back to Earth, going back to Lubitsch himself and his films, but going back to Lubitsch himself in a sense of Ernst Lubitsch swiddling around studios and making money for his films, making possibilities for having fun. And that's rather interesting as well, because we continue with money, and this is what we have in his films. And as I will not show you any footage, you will see the film, who will be about money again, and about little objects again. I'll just give you a brief overview on certain majors. Majors are Hollywood studios, where Lubitsch was working, and not only working, but producing, and also making big flops or big hits. So even during the silent era, he was very popular, and in a sense, his films almost always had higher budget than others. He somehow managed to do that. Then the way how he came to Hollywood was so Mary Pickford chosen to be the star as a baby star as a child, so she ought to continue her career, and they saw the models. They saw that Lubitsch is doing very well in Germany, and he's doing very well with Paula Negri and other good guys. And then Mary Pickford said, "Okay, I want him to direct me." So even while in Germany, Paramount somehow managed to supply funds and finance short-lasting company in Berlin, named, I will tell you because I got it here. So it was, yes, Europäische Filmallianz, and for two years he got funded and made certain films. Then he came to Hollywood, irradiated through Warner's, and then finally settled down in Paramount Pictures, because this is his golden age, and that's the Paramount Pictures with Joseph von Sternberg, Mamoulian, Cécile B. So the huge productions and great hits. So all of them had their some kind of specialty, as you all know or not. It doesn't matter now. But Sternberg into tragic love affairs and drama, and Mamoulian and Emile in his history, spectacles, etc., etc. And then Lubitsch continuing what he did very well in Germany, in romance, in comedy, in vaudeville, in farce, in what we may call even burlesque, but in some other way. So after that golden period with Trouble in Paradise and Monte Carlo and some other films, he had slight difficulties in Paramount just after becoming the producer manager, because he just lost money for the company, and company wanted to get rid of him. Studio wanted to get rid of him, and for 2 years he did some things in MGM. After signing a contract in 35. But what's interesting here is that, and now comes the story comparing those studios and their ways of doing things. So MGM was more profit-oriented, and all that has been done to do that profit was also reflected in way they did production, in way of doing lighting, editing, set design, and even choice of actors. So Lubitsch was pretty much uncomfortable in MGM, as he was used to do things in European and German style, what made him also peculiar and systematic and a great director in that formal way. So he had that contract with MGM, known as Director's Cut, with a special clause, for example, not to ever use. There is something called stock shots. So in big studios you have films, and they're all copyright, of course. But then there is for all plans that are not close-ups and etc. Massive scenes. Other directors can use and pick up some of your shots because it's useful, and it's of course the best way to do it, and to not to spend much money already spent on set design. So Lubitsch even had that privilege to sign the contract with MGM and never letting any of his shots to others. I'm not going to be concrete or direct, or not even give a slight interpretation of all this, but if we have any idea of psychoanalysis and the relationship to the money, all of these hints and details may also tell us more about Lubitsch himself, about his relationship to himself as an actor, as a director, or also in a sense of autobiographical terms that I will mention a bit later. So when using all that questions about studios and choosing different ways of producing and spending money, it's important to say that two films with great restrictions also in technical terms, because MGM was not as sublime as a Paramount in terms of aesthetics. So he made Ninochka, and he made The Shop Around the Corner, two films in The Shop Around the Corner in 1940, and while actually releasing in Ninochka in 27 weeks, he made that The Shop Around the Corner, waiting the reactions of Ninochka and how it will it work. So after that, restrained conditions and good, excellent films, he went then to 20th Century Fox, and then ended with Clooney Brown, also with a lot of allusions on that materialistic or matter-of-fact things concerning the desire of having. So I'll just briefly quote here Catherine Thompson when she said, she wrote that in Hollywood directors were not usually allowed to work closely with all the major technicians at every stage of filming, but Lubitsch was allowed to edit his own films, only because he had such a high reputation when he arrived from Germany and continued in a position of relatively great power because of his prestige. Then there is still something important, and those numbers can tell you much more about it. I hope I will read it well, because it's so small. The numbers are small. Here it says that it earned, how much it earned. I cannot find yeah, here. The film ended by amazing world gross of 1.3 million and $309,000 profit, helped along by a delightful trailer in which Lubitsch made an appearance. So Frank Morgan, I'm talking about the shop around the corner, the numbers in character introduces his establishment, and you will see that also in the film. It's the kind of a shop, he is introducing the shop, where you get $3.50 value for $3.48. This is also the allusion for my title, as I was somehow pushed to improvise, and I said, okay, so Lubitsch is around the corner, not only because he's that's the shop around the corner, that's the thing that I had in mind, but it's because of his closeness to somehow nowadays troubles of getting money and getting sufficient budget in producing certain films, and then what films we are producing and how do we do that in terms of having popular things and having the audience, having theater packed with audience. So he had his downs and ups, and one of his downs was, for example, that silent movie that we are going to screen here as well. And that silent movie was accidentally found in Ljubljana, in Slovenska Cinematheque recently, and even Lubitsch, who mentioned that film before, as anyone who has any failures, wanted to forget it, and then so we now witness that Lubitsch is not only a perfect guy and guy who makes only excellent films, but makes flops. So be prepared to see first something which is not as excellent as we are accustomed to see in Lubitsch. And then after that we'll follow the film, and so I will not show any footage because you will see the film, but I'm somehow pushed to just read some of the dialogues from the film that will make you, that will prepare you first for the film, but then that will at the same time tell you again this thing about Lubitsch himself. This film is considered as a sort of autobiographical hint in Lubitsch's filmography, as his father was a tailor and as he grew up swiftly becoming capable of earning his own money. And it's not only that, it's, for example, the thing that when discussing about the possibility of filming the shop around the corner with Sam Rafelson, he also somehow had a help of his wife, who suggested, of course it's based on that play, Hungarian play, but who suggested that it would be good to do films with more, let's say, we are using this word today, humanistic approach, most close to the common people, as already romance and comedy and had that bourgeois reflection all the time. So discussing with his former wife, she suggested the title The Little Shop Around the Corner, and then Lubitsch, as he was not in very good terms with her, just omitted that adjective little, and then he said, okay, I'll give you $50 and then the title is mine. So that the idea was to appropriate something for him, and that can work very well in his disguise. So I'm not. Okay, I have 6 more minutes. I'm not going to tell you more about the film itself. You will see it, but need to tell you a few things from the not the plot, nothing about it, but then a few dialogues that can again tell you more about that relationship between Lubitsch himself, money in his films, the object of his work, the object of his pleasure, because he enjoyed very much doing films, directing and playing in them, and all about the films. And in a certain way, that kind of obsession, even though we talk about the love, romantic love, or any kind of a content that goes with that feelings, there were always elements which were concrete, which were the very objects that provide pleasure, like Bed in Trouble in Paradise, which is not only a common bed, it's just luxurious and very comfortable, desirable bed to sleep in and to have to make love and to whatever you imagine. So at the beginning of the film, you will discover it yourself, but I just want to pay attention to certain elements. So we have enough troubles in our daily lives, says the male character. So there are, he's reading the letter, there are so many great and beautiful things to discuss in the world of ours. It would be wasting these pressure moments if we told each other how we earn our daily bread. So let's do it. So that's the beginning. We are starting the film in a little shop around the corner. We are entering into that family of different hierarchy clerks in a shop. We have the boss who has his, of course, proteges and the others who is very clever actually and had great intuitions, but there is a problem, there is a plot, and we will together enjoy that plot. After the peripacy and all these elements that comes in comedy, we do have the return of the guy who was mistakenly blamed for something he didn't do or pretend to do, and it's the talk between the boss and the guy. So the boss suggests to the guy, you will see why, but then he suggests, so you can have a little raise for yourself, and the guy then says for himself. This is that element that we already saw in Lubitsch, that auto-irony. So the boss, James Stewart says, the boss who gives himself a raise, well, sir, I'll talk it over with myself, and if I don't want too much money, I'll give it to myself. So that's also the way of somehow Lubitsch's projection of making films. This is my interpretation, so don't think that I'm quoting anybody. And it's also improvisation, and please do not take it as granted. The shop we are talking about, it's the kind of a shop where you get $3.50 value for $3.48 value. Why is that so? So the materiality of love comes to the point that in the dialogue between two characters, we have again that leitmotif of an object, and in this case it will be more interesting because it's not a handbag, it's a wallet, and the acquaintance between so-called lovers or future lovers or a future couple, we have those hints of again somehow analytical illusion of certain kind of psychology, even psychoanalysis, when the female character says after a brief talk and revelation for the one of them, that actually what they do, they just try to scratch under the surface. So she says to him, well, I really wouldn't care to scratch your surface, Mr. The James Stewart, Mr. Crowley, because I know exactly what I'd find. So she says, what is it that she's going to find? Instead of a heart, a handbag. Instead of a soul, a suitcase. Instead of an intellect, a cigarette lighter. which doesn't work. This kind of a glitch that happens, you were talking about the Lubitsch touch. Well, I might even call it glitch, kind of a Lubitsch's way of switching the register of things and making them not only funny, but making them serious in a certain way, as we are really coming back to Earth, as we are really coming back to that, even without on the set, even if we know that it's all on the set, that the shop on the corner everything is just a theater. So no, Lubitsch makes us available to open the window of being, and I don't know how it will sound, but being extremely realistic, being extremely, how to say, concrete in a sense. Yes, let us come close to each other, and then yes, we can become thieves, we can become crooks, because just approach me and it will we will find out what's behind. So this is my invitation to you to see the movie, which is not one of his best, but also again a movie that can give us a few elements that are much more developed in Clooney Brown, because somehow even in this film you have characters that have double life, that have certain position that they are not fond of, and they have that power fantasy that they want to exploit, and that they can do it investing themselves even or despite their ambiguity, despite their possibility of simply even crossing the border, or making possible that their social status just makes them impossible the fulfillment of their desire. And their desire is not only material, of course, their desire is always to reach. Thank you. I did it.
Thank you, Sanja. Since we have only 10 minutes before the film begins, and we have to let the audience in, I invite you to go out and take bread. Take your first bread and bread.
Bread, that's important.
Yeah. Thank you.